Thank you for joining us today on this rainy Friday, or at least it's rainy where I am. I know we need it, so I'll take it.
I wish it was rainy here, Laura. We are in the worst drought section of Illinois right now in northern Will County. So
I'm
my
so sorry.
pond is down about 3 feet right now, and it's
Mm, goodness.
it looks
Yeah.
like Kane County's having the same issue.
Could you take my phone and can you text David Lakeman?
Yeah, we're going through a moderate drought, I believe, in King County. It's pretty gnarly. It's gnarly. I would love more rain.
Just amazing how
Well,
it.
I'll share one happy thing from my pond is we had a green heron who'd been hanging around for a while, and I thought she was just stealing fish, but it turns out she was raising 5 babies, and so we now have a whole family of heron flying around, which is pretty cool because it's a pretty young pond. It's only 3 years old, so most of the time I'm frustrated with the muskrats that keep attacking my pond, but this was a happy moment.
That's awesome.
I have some muskrat love going on in one of my ponds too.
And muskrat love, I love it.
They do one thing that I like, though. They eat all the pampas grass and the cattails that come up. So they do provide one good service, but you pay a high price for it on your banks.
You sure do. Yeah.
Tim, what's the status with the bees?
Oh, they're getting mean. I think it's the heat. I was out there pulling weeds. I wasn't even near the hives, and they came after me. They stung me in the face and the arm.
Oh.
I've never been stung by them before, and so I think it's that extreme heat and humidity is just making them real cranky, just like it's making me cranky. But they're doing an amazing job, I have to say. There's really good hives, and it's such a good year. There's just so much blooming and growing, and the garden is producing like crazy because they're just in there working their little hearts off. So I love them. I'm not mad at them. So it looks like we've got most of our folks on. Thanks everybody. To echo Laura's comments of joining us for our committee meeting today. I know it's July and we're all got all kinds of things going on, but excited to welcome Kelly Burke with us today. And I'm not going to tell you anything more about Kelly because she tells her story beautifully. So I'm going to ask Kelly to take over and talk about what she's doing in hemp. With just a note that I have happened to be under the camp that thought that hemp wasn't going to take off. I was excited about hemp a couple of years ago. It just seemed like it wasn't getting a foothold. And then I met with Kelly a couple of months ago, and we're engaging with Kelly at Farm Foundation, and she revived my hope and excitement for hemp. And so I thought it would be really great as we're talking about farm diversification, we're talking about new ways to have adaptive crops here in Illinois and in the Chicago wilderness region. I thought it would be really great to hear what she's up to and see if there's any places where your work might coincide and support Kelly's. So Kelly, take it away.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you all for giving me the time to present today. Kind of before I jump into things, I want to recognize a few people I just happened to be at the University of Illinois Open House, where we have all of these thought leaders from around the country coming. From Nebraska, here I have Andrew Bish, who was instrumental in leading the initiatives for the Hemp Feed Coalition for the recent passing of the animal feed, so for laying hens. I do have a slide in the presentation that I'm about to share with you all that touches on that, and I'll let him take a moment to really provide his input on where things are headed from that perspective. One other person I have in the room here is Tracy Hill. She is one of my energy consultants and really a specialist on anaerobic digesters, which is a critical facet of the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub, and what we're trying to do to create these resilient hubs to truly allow industrial hemp to become a large-scale row crop in Illinois. And then I believe we've also been texting, and David Lakeman, who is the head of the Illinois Department of Agriculture's Hemp and Cannabis Division, happens to be at this conference as well with us. So what a perfect timing. I'm so grateful that everything coincided perfectly and for this amazing opportunity. So again, thank you to Tim and for all of you for allowing this special opportunity. So sort of to jump in, I wanted to start at a high level with a new nonprofit that we're launching here in Illinois. All of the paperwork has been filed, and it is a nonprofit called iRise, or Industrial Hemp for Regenerative Innovation for Sustainable Enterprises. And it's essentially to do what I mentioned, allow for industrial hemp to become a large-scale row crop, and to help all of the groups that are working towards specific facets of the supply chain, to be able to work together and establish this physical infrastructure need to help take the innovations that have already taken place, all of the exciting advancement, and allow it to start building out with these regionalized centers, aggregation centers, micro hubs, and then larger hubs. So without further ado, I'll jump into the obvious challenge that a lot of us are facing right now. It's pretty clear on the news. I can't flip through a channel without hearing about the fact that artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and really the shifting global power structure is changing the way we live, the way we work, is changing the way we see agriculture, and just really the demands on the environment and the ecosystems. And what are we going to do about all of these things? So we have to start looking for new answers. And these challenges are coming on quicker than ever. The use of how much water it takes, we think about that in agriculture, but then we think about, okay, we have all these data centers. How much water are they utilizing? And how are we coming up with all of this, all of the innovation to be able to keep up with how fast things are truly moving? So, food systems, supply chain instability, energy demands, and honestly, just looking for greener ways to do things. And one of the things that drew me to hemp is that it was able to answer a lot of these questions, and it was still newly emerging back when I got involved in the industry in 2017. I'd be happy to share more about my background, but today I just wanted to focus more so on really what the opportunity is. So ultimately, the opportunity is that this plant can produce so many different types of products. But again, not everything has had centuries to be able to dial down things like costs, and we don't have the infrastructure, right? Everything keeps coming back to that fact that we're lacking that infrastructure. But another big problem that's taken place is because it was cheaper and more recognizable because of the cannabis industry, the CBD industry took hold really when the Farm Bill passed, and all of the acreage and everything that sort of all of the infrastructure that was developed was really focused on industrial hemp's sort of like cousin plant, which is treated entirely different. So the cannabinoid plant, just for a little bit of understanding, is more like a hand-picked vegetable, right? So when you see many pictures of cannabinoid hemp being grown, or floral hemp, you oftentimes see them looking like bushes. They're like spaced out pretty far, and they grow like kind of round like balls. Where industrial hemp, like what we're talking about, is the tall, skinny plant that's grown like a row crop. So whenever I'm referring to things within this presentation, I'm talking about that. It is low water, low inputs, low labor, and you can use a lot of standard farming equipment. And we can get into more of that, and I'll certainly take questions at the end. I'm happy to answer as many questions as you want, as well as I know the people that I have surrounding me will also be happy to answer any questions you have. But yeah, industrial hemp can definitely address some of these economic, environmental, and agricultural needs as a row crop. So what we want you to focus on is really the regenerative agriculture facet, but this can also be in standard conventional farming practices. So we're trying to introduce it as a large-scale row crop. That means we're basically focusing more so on how this falls into a general sequence with corn and beans, winter wheat, and standard row crops that you'll see a conventional farmer utilizing. So sustainable construction is something I want to highlight. Our company invites you to come out to one of our farms where we're building out the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub, where we have established the first permitted hempcrete building in the state of Illinois. And I'm very excited that we happen to be not super far from a group in Wisconsin that recently got ASTM approvals for his block company. His company is called Sativa Building Company. Yeah, like I said, they're about 3 hours north of us. I'm sorry, did someone have a question? Okay, sorry, I thought I heard somebody talking. As far as energy independence, the way we've established these campuses that we're looking to help build out, we're trying to couple it with green energy. I mentioned earlier, before maybe some of you guys were on, about the anaerobic digester. So this is a critical facet of the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub that we're building out, which is essentially a model that we intend to replicate across the state to truly allow localized infrastructure, not just at our location, but near where there are a lot of resources. So as far as like a first glance of what we're doing, definitely near Champaign-Urbana or University of Illinois, Carbondale or Southern Illinois, and then near maybe where there's more resources. Tim had flighted a concept about another location, more northern part of Illinois, by the city. Yeah, energy independence, and how can we address the need for more power, and how can we leverage the fact that this plant can actually be converted due to its molecular makeup. It's able to be converted into a lot of cool advanced materials that could answer a lot of the pressing questions about battery storage and things like that. So jumping into bioplastics, we're very lucky to be in a state that has so many amazing academic partners. I happen to be located, or my Northern Illinois Hemp Hub is located just 15 minutes from Northern Illinois University, where they have a hemp bioplastic lab that recently got approvals for a couple of patents, and they have obviously many pending. But their innovation there and the lab that they have is able to actually take stock and bring it all the way to a blown bioplastic finished product that could then go into the market. It's not at scale. It is a university lab, but it's partners like those that it's wonderful we're able to highlight not only that this innovation exists, that these technologies are patented and ready to be scaled, but also that this is an Illinois thing. Like, we developed this here. We have some of the most brilliant people across the country here in our state, and the things that they're doing are being nationally recognized. So just want to highlight some of the great work in bioplastics. And I'll mention that KIFCure, our hemp company, which is a tenant on the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub, is also selling like a full line of biodegradable products for the to-go space. So for food products, straws, cutlery, plates, things like that. So to-go compostables, they're biodegradable and compostable in 1 year and 15 days. And then we also sell bioplastic pellets that have a number of applications, could also be sold to compounders to create innovative new plastics that could be used. So excited to talk to you guys more about how this plant can be turned into a great and valuable raw material in the bioplastic space. The future of food security and food systems is a spot where maybe I have, in a minute, I'll have Andrew kind of jump in and talk a little bit more. But this plant has naturally an amazing plant protein. So the grain that shows up in really the flower of the female plants. So whereas in cannabinoid hemp, they're really going for keeping the males away from the females so that flower keeps growing and exhibits more of the characteristics to bring in pollinators, so the smell and things like that. But what we're doing is really focusing, having a blend of male and female plants in your field, so that those female plants get pollinated and they start creating all of the seeds, which are then sold as a food product. We are harvesting those with a standard combine, and we are planting this with a standard no-till drill for most of our plot, for all of our plots. But this is definitely something we're looking for organic and conventional farms to be able to really get some grain production going on. And then obviously local manufacturing of all sorts of cool products and innovation in the space. We want to turn this first Northern Illinois hemp hub into a living lab. I know that was a lot of information all at once, but I don't know if you want to take a moment to talk a little bit about grain in general. I have some facts here, and you feel free to introduce yourself because I know I didn't introduce you, but.
Oh, that's okay. Well, thank you, Kelly. Thank you all for being here. My name is Andrew Bish. I'm the president of the Hemp Feed Coalition, and we've been working going back 5 years on the legalization of hemp as an animal feed ingredient. We see the grain as the largest opportunity to break open the marketplace and reduce costs overall, as well as an easy opportunity because of the protein and content that's needed just in the feed industry in general. So, in the 2024, we received AFCO approval for egg-laying chickens to eat hemp seed meal. That is the first animal that has achieved federally legal status to have hemp as an animal feed ingredient. Our next application that we're currently working on consists of is a ruminant application for lamb and beef cattle, with the objective of providing opportunities for those animals to eat hemp. So what does that mean? What that means for egg-laying chickens is a market demand of about 276,000 acres if we're able to impact just 5% of egg-laying chickens at a 20% inclusion rate. And when we get beef, cattle, and lamb, we're easily within a couple million acres. So overall, the byproduct of grain production, of meal production rather, is hemp seed oil. So that produces some market opportunities for hemp seed oil, whether it be cosmetics or some additional food opportunities. And then when it comes to building materials, that reduces the overall cost of stock production. So hempcrete, insulative materials, those costs start to go down as the stock is a byproduct of grain production. So that's kind of our work that we're doing with the Hemp Feed Coalition. Like I said, currently egg-laying chickens is the only animal that's federally legal, but we're going to continue to work on improving that as we move forward.
And I'm sure with having so many influential folks like yourselves on this call involved in the industry, if you're interested in pilot programs, I definitely know the right group of people to be able to start maybe carrying out some of that work. So feel free to reach out to me after this to talk a little bit more about that. He just went through a lot of this. I'll share this presentation so you have a takeaway on exactly what they accomplished with that AFCO approval. I also wanted to highlight something that is hot off the presses. So July 17th, the U.S. Senate appropriations hearing on FY26 just really changed the game for industrial hemp farmers to truly separate what we're doing from that cannabinoid hemp space. So they created a new definition for industrial hemp that basically segments the fiber and grain industry and for microgreens. So those of you that might be doing microgreens, this is now about to become a fully legal product that's able to be produced. So again, another way we could use that seed and that grain is the microgreens market, which up until this point, because of regulations, they were considered more seedlings or baby plants, and you needed license to license. So this new appropriations is going to allow for that to actually take place as a business, which is super exciting for the industry and for groups that are trying to purchase seed and say you don't get that all in the ground. You could still move forward with having that be a microgreens product. So yeah, so basically just a little bit more. This is basically separating it out and making it so it's able to stand on its own 2 feet. And again, this is brand new, July 17th, that this was all sort of buttoned up. So speaking a little bit about what iRise is doing, we're building a framework that supports industrial hemp adoption, resilient rural infrastructure and community-based energy systems, all led by farmer-owned cooperatives and a nonprofit. So iRise is the nonprofit, and we are actively seeking individuals like you to participate either in an advisory or in a board role. So we're taking nominations for this new nonprofit to ensure that we have the right folks guiding us in establishing these partnerships with existing cooperatives, both in energy and in agriculture, as well as to help establish new ones where they need to be established. So definitely looking forward to taking this conversation online with those of you that might be interested in providing guidance or support. So what iRise is delivering is essentially farmer-owned infrastructure. So establishing these as cooperatives to really allow both the processors, regardless of what they're producing, if it's bioplastic or if they're a decortication company, or if there's a company like KIFCure who's focused on grain for food or for feed, anybody along the supply chain is able to participate within the capacity the same way that a farmer would. So we're all sharing in the way we move this industry forward, because the businesses that have developed a lot of this IP and are ready to scale, they need this farmer plug. They need to be able to collaborate. And I think the cooperative sharing in the results of what's happening is a great way to incentivize the whole industry to come together. But we needed more security than that, because as you know, this is a new crop. It had a tough start optically. Not everybody understands what it even is and how it is different than cannabinoid hemp, which is more of a hand-picked vegetable. So we had to implement another layer of security to help the farm community know that if they grow this, they will get paid. And if they mess it up, they will still get paid. One thing I highlight is that we are working to overcome some boundaries that are sort of limiting the farm community from getting crop insurance. But we did achieve, our company KIFCure did achieve getting crop insurance on large acreage this year. We did grow around just over 800 acres of industrial hemp in Illinois. And if anyone has received this week's edition of the Farm Week newspaper, we do have a wonderful article that I'm so blessed that the Farm Bureau wrote up about me, mainly on sustainability and just me as an individual, but it does highlight a lot that the companies are doing. It's a beautiful article. So page 2 of the most recent one that was delivered in your mailbox, it's pretty much all of page 2 if you want to go check that out. And then also turning these into resilient community hubs, because if we're coupling having food access and this healthy plant protein that has all of the amino acids necessary for life, and we have energy and battery storage and biogas because of this anaerobic digester and some of the other green energy facets that we're incorporating into the hub, which I'd be happy to talk to you about as well, then we really have shelter, water, or we have shelter, energy, and food. So by just offering that water segment, we can truly be able to step in emergency situations. And I think having cooperatives and the farm communities stepping in, they already are doing this for our communities, but in different ways. And so why not couple this together, since we're building out something new that's able to address multiple challenges at once, right? So trying to work to make these be also like training facilities to help not only the ag community, but the workforce understand what this product is, all the new things happening with it, so we could drive innovation and drive market adoption to really drive the bottom line for the American farmer and our fellow farmers in Illinois. There are a lot of shifts in policy right now. And so the model that we've put together is a great way to truly address a lot of those shifting priorities and talk about how we can do that America First rural manufacturing. And like I said, drive job creation, invest in rural infrastructure, strengthen our energy grids, and really, work together so we can get access to the resources and funding that's so desperately needed for a new industry that's been largely misunderstood. So I'll kind of move past that one now. And that leads to the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub, which was one of the ways that our company KIFCure wanted to go about addressing some of the challenges that we were facing within the community, where we just had a lack of access to capital and resources, and nobody really wanted to lease to us. And at the time, our company KIFCure was unable to purchase a property. So my husband and I went out and we were very blessed to find 2 other partners. One of them is he is the owner of Green and Associates, which is the 4th largest architecture firm in the state of Illinois. And then our other partner is a large superintendent for Arco Murray, which is a large construction firm nationally. So the 2 partners that we have are the right partners to be able to build out this size and scale what we're doing here. So we do have truly industry leaders in design and construction to be able to build out what we're trying to accomplish here. So we bought a 160-acre property that meets a few different zones. We're kind of where suburbia meets country. We're about 50 miles west of Chicago, and we're 15 minutes from Northern Illinois University's campus. And there is where we're trying to establish a first of its kind campus for industrial hemp and material science innovation, where it is basically a campus. So we're bringing on tenants. If you know anybody in the material science space or doing something innovative, this is definitely intended to be for groups that would utilize industrial hemp as a raw material so they can really maximize all the benefits of what we're trying to bring to the table. But we're not limiting it to that. Definitely those that are interested in being where we're going to have a lot of these energy, where we're going to have energy infrastructure, and we're coupling some unique systems that I can talk to you guys individually about that really bring together unique facets that can work in tandem with one another. But we want to turn it into somewhat of a living lab, and we want to make sure that we're taking the lessons we learn from building out this first facility, and we're helping in tandem, helping other areas build out things that are either complementary or build out, just a second facet of what we're doing, so we can truly allow this to move, and so that we're not wasting that money in logistics. If someone at SIU or near SIU in Carbondale has an aggregation center, we should get them to the point where they're able to bring it all the way down to where it needs to be sent to a manufacturer, right? So the goal is to create these satellite, either micro hubs, and then build them out so that they can specialize in specific things and that we can all complement each other, the way that a lot of other, cooperatives and other major agricultural industries do, right? So that's a little bit about that. What the Northern Illinois Hemp Hub Living Lab is going to focus on is energy creation, storage, and transport, soil health, and phytoremediation, which will need to do a lot of the research across different areas of the state. So different regions have different climates, are encountering different challenges that maybe need to be overcome. How can we leverage this plant that has so many incredible characteristics to solve our most pressing challenges? I already talked a little bit, and Andrew spoke about food systems development, and then building and construction materials. There is so much happening with the U.S. Hemp Building Association, which is the association that's really taking the lead and pushing forward with things like the ICC building code that was passed, and now it's fully inserted into the building code, and making kind of our building workshop and getting those permits that easy to do, whereas in the past it was like a special case. And then really the biotechnology is an exciting realm that this is not some pie in the sky thing anymore. It's been enough years to where patents are filed, IP is created, and those companies are ready to deploy that IP, and they need raw materials. They need what we're trying to offer and what we need folks like you to offer within your communities. So a little bit about industrial hemp. It's a low input crop. It is known and proven to extract contaminants from the soil or act as a phytoremediator. And then it grows extremely fast. It has a 90 to 120 day growth cycle. These plants get very big and they grow very densely. So we pack them very dense in fields, and there's a lot of biomass. So that can be used for all sorts of things. And this is a no waste crop because at the end of the day, even with the system that we have, we could always feed anything that doesn't have a high value to an anaerobic digester to produce energy, which we all know is in high demand. So, and that demand isn't going anywhere. It's only going up. And I believe that those that are very involved in the energy sector are looking for allies within the agricultural community to be able to deploy additional resources to get that energy. So just because of the crowd that's here, this is a crop rotation concept that I've put together, and I am working and sharing and kind of collaborating with universities as well as groups like Manitoba Harvest out of Canada, which has been growing industrial hemp for over 20 years. On an international scale, they're definitely leading the charge on a lot of research and development, and really the partner with Health Canada to produce a lot of the information that we're leveraging here. So a lot of the peer-reviewed studies and things like that oftentimes come from collaboration with groups like Manitoba. And there's definitely a lot of innovation happening within genetics in the United States. Here today, there were a few groups like New West Genetics that's coming out with some innovative technology for grain. And then there's a number of groups that have like Trilogene, which is a Illinois group that's coming up with some really exciting technologies within the genetic space. So it's not going to be long before we're going to have some really exciting advancements from that perspective. But pretty much all grain or all seed that you buy right now has not been genetically modified. With a small special exemption, it can all, or like a letter, it can all be considered organic. So for organic farmers, this doesn't preclude you. We do have about 524 acres on organic land in Kane County on forest preserve land. So we did have to go through a lot of extra hoops to get that approved. And so it can be done. We kind of went after the hardest thing we could go after first so that, really it can roll downhill a little bit. Again, we're doing more research before we call this a suggestion. But at this point, this is what we're evaluating as being a cool way to incorporate industrial hemp from having a corn and bean 2-crop cycle to a 5-crop rotation. And so soybeans, winter wheat, hemp for fiber to basically leverage that remediation quality as well as act as a cover crop between seasons. And then hemp grain, which happens naturally. So I can kind of dive more into this more specifically with anybody who wants to jump in or participate in some research. And then that following year doing corn. So yeah, like I said, just increasing crop diversity, trying to fit within standard farming practices, leveraging standard farming equipment, standard grain bins, standard combines, standard planters. So we're not talking about reinventing the wheel and spending a ton of money on new equipment. Certainly for harvesting for fiber hemp, we do need specialized equipment. And actually, Andrew, if you want to maybe touch a little bit on some specialized equipment for them about the quad bar sickle cutter or things that you have for fiber cutting, since that is specialized equipment.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, not to keep going with things that I do, but I got involved with hemp because I am a machinery engineer and manufacturer out of central Nebraska. And we've developed several different pieces of equipment specifically for hemp, such as our multi-height sickle mower. And we've got various header technologies and processing technologies that we've developed specifically for this industry. They happen to work with some additional bass fiber crops as well. One of the things that we try to focus on is how do we incorporate existing on-farm equipment with some of the specialized equipment so that we can reduce the cost to the producer, because it's exciting to make super expensive pieces of equipment, but the reality is today's producers have a lot of different financial pressures, and what we try to do is figure out how we can fit into that mix of equipment that they already have by introducing some inexpensive specialized equipment that can help maximize their production value.
So I'm just going to highlight, I know we're running out of time here, so I'll kind of speed through this, but the EPA did just raise biofuel volumes. Those of you that have seen that, this is exciting and kind of further presses to the point that we're on the right track to incorporate these green energy facets to the hub, specifically the anaerobic digester. What we're looking for is definitely federal, state agency partners, rural investment allies, strategic board nominations if you guys know anyone, and then obviously training to have infrastructure operators and energy and innovators jumping into the space. So yeah, definitely farm partners in the ag community and those willing to look into it. And if you have more questions, I'd be happy to answer them. We are doing a larger public announcement for iRise, the nonprofit at SIU on September 19th. I'll be speaking there again alongside David Lakeman, as well as a bunch of other folks and industry leaders coming in from across the country. Yeah, I welcome you to come out to my farm to check out what we've got going on. Please read the article, and there's also a nice video that the Farm Bureau put together for me as well with that article. So yeah, like I said, I'm here to be a resource.
Great, thank you so much, Kelly. I shared that video, so people should have that in the invite today.
Okay.
We have time for just a couple of questions, and I will take the chance to ask you the first. I'm curious how what is the unit of measurement in hemp? Question one, and then what's the profit per measurement unit currently in hemp?
Sure. So it depends on what you're looking at, if it's for fiber and hurd or the stalk and stem portion or for grain. So unit of measurement, we just sell by the pound. As far as, I think in that presentation, I didn't want it to be too long. I do have a breakdown of the poundage. So basically you can expect it from the USDA reports. They say anywhere from about 750 or 800 pounds to the acre, all the way to about 15. And there are some varieties that go all the way like 18 to even 2,000 pounds an acre. I mentioned that New West Genetics, and they have found out a way to allow those grain heads to just be loaded with grain. So it just depends on the variety. You can expect anything from 800, but like I said, we're in Illinois where we have some of the most fertile soil in the country. You can really expect being above 1,000 pounds to the acre, which is basically on average about 25 bushels. If you think of, yeah, I think about 25 bushels, right? Wouldn't you say, Andrew? And in bushels, if 1,000 pounds an acre for this type of region, would you say that's about 25 bushels? We use pounds though, so unit of measure is pounds.
Yeah, I'd say 1,000 to 1,200 pounds.
Yeah, and then as far as for fiber, you can reasonably expect about 4.25 to 5.5 tons to the acre.
Great. Are there other questions for Kelly?
Yeah, Kelly, my name's Bob Hoyer. This is fantastic. Thank you for sharing all this. Three questions. Number one, as you try to go to scale with the raw production, or the raw product, how are you going to overcome if it's a problem that corn and soybean growers are locked into these federal price support systems and they would lose their eligibility, right, to go to a non-commodity crop?
I mean, I don't know if they are discouraging crop diversity. Andrew, do you want to address that? I'm not certain that you would lose some sort of eligibility by incorporating rotations.
Yeah, I've not seen any
I've never ever heard
eligibility
that.
issues from that. We do see a lot of interest from producers, as anecdotally we've experienced increased bushel per acre, whether it's corn or soybeans, and reduced pest pressure as well as reduced weed pressure. So we are seeing less chemical application and less inputs when hemp is introduced into the rotation. So there's a pretty high interest from farmers to move in a direction that allows them a third rotational crop.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
Okay, well, thanks on that. Second question, on the anaerobic digester, how is it what you're doing? How does it compare, contrast, or become a collaboration with the Auburn Gresham, the anaerobic digester that they're using to convert compost down on the 9-acre brownfield redevelopment site in Auburn Gresham on the south side? Are you in communication with them at all?
We're not in communication with them, but we're certainly planning to go out and meet with them. And like I said, there's such a large demand for energy in the state that we should all really be working together to figure out how we're going to achieve our local needs. Tracy, do you want to address a little bit about the anaerobic digestion?
Sure. So anaerobic digesters, in a nutshell, it's you look at it based on your cycles throughout the year. And your cycle length is based on the sugar content. And this is kind of, the Reader's Digest version, the sugar content of the feed crop that you put in it. And so initially when we were looking at just doing the manure, hemp and corn, then our cycle was going to be about 2 months. We reached out to a sugar refinery in Chicago, and because of including that sugar mash, we've now cut it down to about 30 days. So we would be doing 12 cycles per year. So it's a recipe. So you have to look at the sugar content, kind of your the chain size of the materials that you're putting in the digester, and what you want to get out of it, like what you're trying to digest. You can do an anaerobic digester that digests paper and cardboard. That's going to be a very long cycle because that has already been manufactured and most of that sugar content taken out. So does that answer your question?
So
Yeah.
I think, okay. Yeah, we can all do different things. There is one in the city as well that I believe just opened. I'm excited. They do have tours on Saturdays. I want to go out and check it out. But they're taking food waste from the city and even food packaging, and they're feeding it to the digester. So this is amazing for not only the urban areas to be a resource to the agricultural community that might have waste in corn and soybeans, and what other products on the farm, maybe cow manure, things like this. What do you have around you? Because it's basically turning that waste into a valuable product, not only energy, but digestate, which is a product that is sold as a soil amendment product that's super healthy and full of all kinds of nutrients based on the feedstock that it's provided, right? So it varies depending on what you're feeding, what the diet of your digester is.
Last question. So I see your focus is rural. What's the feasibility of with the soil remediation possibilities to be used in urban settings around brownfield redevelopment?
Absolutely. I actually have an entire proposal that I would love to share with you where I'm specifically addressing us trying to go and remediate brownfield sites. I actually identified a few that one in Joliet that used to be a shooting range that is inundated with heavy metals. I know this will work. Industrial hemp was used in Chernobyl to be able to pull some of these radioactive nuclear materials or chemicals that inundated the area. So industrial hemp and PFAS has also been something that's recently been, there are peer-reviewed studies indicating and showing hemp's ability to pull out PFAS from the soil, which is obviously a pressing concern. Just on the 23rd, so 2 days ago, we submitted an application through the M-Hub for the, I don't know if you know the Great Lakes Renew project, but they had an incubator for water systems remediation. If anyone is interested, we do want to try to pilot and gauge the effects of industrial hemp, not only acting as a barrier as a row crop before, between where other crops are located that may have heavy applications of phosphorus and nitrogen, to really allow it to be able to prevent it and act as a barrier, but to do buffer strips along the banks of where maybe some of it is all aggregating, maybe low points, where it's really affecting the aquatic life as well. So both soil and water projects we would love to do, and looking at some innovative technologies that already exist and figuring out how industrial hemp might be able to have a role within those. We can talk about it, but there are some really cool like floating devices that I'd love to get in touch with some of those companies and see if they've ever incorporated industrial hemp, to see if aquaponically or hydroponically this can actually minimize the harmful algae blooms that are taking place in a lot of our watersheds, lakes, whatever, rivers, creeks, things like that. So how can we leverage industrial hemp to address these challenges, because it has such an amazing remediation capability?
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. Can you put up your contact information slide so people know how to get in touch with you?
Sure. Yeah, let me go ahead and do that really fast.
And then Bob, while you've got your mic open, do you want to give a quick update on your work on Piatone?
Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. First of all, I hope you'll continue coming back to this group. I don't know what Tim has told you, but the Chicago Wilderness Alliance Growing with Ag Committee is a sleeping giant of sorts. So anyway, yeah, so I've been I've been working within this committee. Just again, Kelly, I don't know what Tim has told you about this group, but so in 2021, the Chicago Wilderness Alliance established a Growing with Ag Committee to try to make ag a, quote, permanent component of our regional fabric and important contributor to food system and climate resilience. So my team, consulting team, we've been putting together a project proposal to create a roadmap to establish a regional agri-food and conservation organization. And it's looking like I've finally found a grant writer who's like knows about these things. And so the idea, September 8th, I see is the deadline. Chicago Regional Food System Funds has a new round. So we'll be submitting, I'll be putting something together, but the working title is Building Chicagoland's Local Farm Economy. And it's to enable the Alliance to expand habitat conservation in our 4-state, 38-county Lake Michigan Basin region through creation of a program to strengthen regional ag. The project will have multiple components, several components, media campaign, really to highlight innovators. Kelly, everything you're talking about is just an example. And the problem is, how do we bring a coherent narrative together that elevates all the innovation in agri-food, nutrition, and conservation in the region? Secondly, is to develop an agri-food asset map that will pinpoint a methodology to create a methodology to pinpoint the financial investment needs to scale local food economies. The third component is a financial sector community organizing project. Since our last call, I've been got hooked in from TED to the Illinois Environmental Council legislative team. There's 2 pieces of legislation that will be bringing forward as part of this project by January 2026. One is to develop a task force to consider in the eastern Will County state-owned Peatone Airport land, converting that 7 square miles of land into a regenerative ag research and development center that could actually just be a model for similar hubs that, NIU, what you're talking about with the hub up, there's another asset that needs to be brought into alignment. Then the second piece is that piece of legislation, we got it introduced. The Joliet State Senator introduced the bill last January. It got shot down by the proponents of the Peatone Airport. Couldn't even get assigned to committee, so we got to have a better approach heading into January 26th. And one of the ways we'll do it is my state senator, Laura Fine from Glenview, as well as Englewood State Rep Sonia Harper are interested in co-sponsoring a bill to lay the foundation for what I think we'll think of as like a $50 million Illinois Good Food Fund to be administered through the Illinois Climate Bank. So those things will be going forward. I got a piece, the project partner for the media will be the local food forum. I'm going to be putting together a piece here pretty soon about an effort to establish a let people grow their own food ordinance in the city of Chicago. And then I think, Tim, I got the politics all ready to go to Cranes to do a 7 square mile R&D center to become the model for how, Rockefeller Center says there's a $4 trillion a year global investment opportunity, regenerative ag. Trouble is there's little actual understanding so what it is. So why not pull together the kind of broad-based partnership in a strategy such as this so that, we can create what that regional model looks like for the 4-state Lake Michigan Basin region.
Well, that is all so exciting. I can't even handle it. I do want to let you know something as well. You mentioned IEC, who has quietly, I felt like they were on my team all along. They have come to a lot of the events we hosted, like our building workshop. I am a new addition to the IEC group. So the Illinois Environmental Council we just did my onboarding, and they are going to be highlighting industrial hemp, and will be leading the way on trying to push forward some policy initiatives. But I will highlight one exciting thing about IEC. They essentially developed CEJA, which is how cannabis tax revenue is spent on green energy. So because of that and the interesting position of industrial hemp and how it's been negatively impacted because of lack of maybe regulatory clarity and what is hemp and what is cannabis, up until recently with this 2017 update with this appropriations, that's really been a challenge that we've faced in financial markets, is how do we get access to the resources necessary to do what needs to be done to scale these types of things. I'm super excited about what you guys are doing. I'd love to participate in any way that I possibly can. And yeah, I'm excited to see what comes next. And please let me know what I can do to contribute.
Who are you working with at IEC?
Chelsea and Chad Wallace.
Okay. Yeah, I talked to Chad the other day. Good. That's excellent.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you both. So just to wrap up, reminder that we're not doing the ag tour this summer. We're working on the Chicagoland Food System tour for next summer. So if you have ideas or you want to volunteer, Michelle Blackburn is your person for that. Our next meeting of this group will be September 26th. And I'm going to take the privilege of bragging for a minute. I introduced last time we talked about our beginning farmer program that we received $1 million grant from PepsiCo to start. Well, we managed to talk another company into giving us a second $1 million for that program. So we have $2 million we're going to be investing in a beginning farmer program, basing it out of our new campus in Libertyville, but it will be a nationwide program. And so I will share more details about that, but really excited. It's really focused on regenerative agriculture and the emerging food systems. So it's a really exciting investment that we're making as an organization, both nationally and here in Chicagoland. Anybody else have anything to brag about, share about?
Please just unmute yourself and put it out there.
Please. All right. I guess I'm going to be the only braggart today, Laura.
Well, I
Tim,
wanted
go ahead,
to
Laura.
announce and invite everyone to mark their calendars for October 22nd for the celebration of nature. I'm going to drop a link into the chat. It will be our annual or biannual opportunity to come together and network and meet colleagues and celebrate the Excellence in Ecological Restoration awardees and the Force of Nature recipients. So it will be at the Peggy Noda Bart Nature Center. And I invite you all to come and get together in person and celebrate the great work that's happening around the region. So I'm going to drop the link into the chat.
Tim and Laura, so remember we were going to do when is it? August 22nd. We've got a meeting set up in the afternoon to meet with Illinois House Ag Committee Chair Sonia Harper in an office in Englewood. In fact, I'll be talking to her next week and we'll try to pin that down. But I think Kelly, you might want to be, if you're available, it's a Friday afternoon, it's the 22nd. Or I think we can set it up on a Zoom. You don't have to drive all the way into Englewood, but she'll be really excited too, and will be a very interested advocate for this work.
Absolutely. And I do know her. So I'll shoot her a text and let Sonia know that I spoke with you guys and that I look forward to potentially meeting her and discussing it under different terms with you guys.
Great.
Bob, please do share any details or invitation with us as they evolve. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Will do.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And thank you again, Kelly, for sharing your very inspirational work. And we look forward to watching your progress and hopefully being a part of it. So thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate this.
Really was
Sure.
really fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you.